Is that good or bad?
It's a pretty good sandwich.
It's good sandwich.
Above average.
It's icy over here. Really freaking icy. And I'm eating Girl Scout cookies. It is that season. So don't mind me. Snack questing, Girl Scout cookies. Anyways, we're gonna wait for JJ to show up eventually. We're gonna get started. It's gonna be a fun time on ye old SideQuest. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about gaming wise. A little bit of news, not a ton of news. I don't think there was a ton of news, but there were a couple bigger ones that I want to get to.
Can't think of anything.
Oh, I got some for you. And I'm gonna start with maybe the bigger. Let me get the right link up here. The saga, which is still continuing. I'm going to start with that one, and that saga, my friends, is the
Issue 62.
The Activision.
just came out today.
No, it's the Microsoft Activision purchase thing. Microsoft had a Microsoft and Sony had their in front of the EU courts, I guess. They had to state in their cases or something. Taylor, you know this a little better than I do.
Yeah, they're courting the EU, all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hear ye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been in front of, or I mean, the EU legislative body is going to be looking at this sooner and faster than the FTC is. So, many of the key players from Microsoft and Sony have been out there, or at least whoever is in charge from both organizations that each company has decided is going to handle it. They're both out there. I don't know if it's respective CEOs or what, but suffice to say, last week it was shoring up that Microsoft was going to make some kind of big play to make concessions or something to swoo the legislative body over there.
Swoo, that's a good one.
Yeah. And this is it, apparently. A 10-year deal with Nintendo. It says Xbox games. To be honest, I mean, you know, because this isn't like a formally penned agreement, it's kind of like the whole thing is like, what the fuck are they talking about kind of mentality on it. It's like, are you talking about we're going to bring a Halo 6 to Nintendo Switch? Like, what are we saying here? We don't know. It doesn't really matter. This is a general broad commitment to show how far Microsoft is willing to go to, you know, assuage people's fears, I suppose. But I mean, it's a pretty big one. I mean, they obviously did a lot of probably handshaking, getting GoldenEye off the ground between the two orgs. So, you know, maybe they felt
or
ham shaking is good too. There are already a lot of Microsoft games on Switch. You have Ori, Cuphead, you have Minecraft, 18 different Minecraft games, and you have, you know, while I don't think this is going to be any different going forward, I don't think we're going to see Starfield on Switch. Sorry, folks. But I do.
It would not be crazy if for some reason Nintendo decided it's like, we're going to allow xCloud
that could
on the Nintendo Switch. They're going to. I bet you that Microsoft will let you play Starfield streaming on the Nintendo Switch there.
I can see. There are a couple good points floating around, and our good friend Grub mentioned this as well a little bit, in that you may not have xCloud proper. You may not have like xCloud by itself as an app. You may have the games individually to be streaming on.
So I was going to mention that too. If my memory serves me correctly, some of the stuff that is already on the it doesn't. I was like, what? Some of the stuff that's on the Switch already is using portions of that backend to run game, not necessarily what we know it as xCloud for Games Pass, because that is specifically running on Xbox and Xbox like hardware to stream those games, or at least to run them. So it's not one for one, but That's what I recall in my brain. I didn't look it up before we got here, though. So
you have like Resident Evil 2, that remake is on there. You have
Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Like what is Kingdom Hearts 3 Cloud running on? You know,
I don't think it's. I don't. It may be Azure, but it may not be xCloud.
that's what I mean, and that's the distinction I'm making, is that there's a strategic partnership that could be there between Nintendo and Microsoft, but that's not specifically running a Game Pass environment on it. Damn, JJ! Oh, he's desperate, man.
Man.
I know a phone screen share when I see one.
Wow, you're looking much more colorful right now too. Your phone is doing a good job, man.
It's doing a real good job. It's not.
You look warm.
Selfie cameras excel at one thing above all, and that's saturating the shit out of colors because our eyes thinks that it looks good.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, as we were saying, I don't know what streaming service they use, but they'll be, from Microsoft standpoint and Nintendo standpoint, doing these individually is a good way to get that on there.
Yeah. At the end of the day, this is largely grandstanding. This
really is. Yeah.
This is just big talk in front of people that aren't sitting there, like EU regulators aren't sitting there following the game industry of like, I don't know how many games is Microsoft regularly bringing to the Nintendo consoles. So we're gonna grandstand. We're gonna make big stuff. All of a sudden, 10-year commitment sounds like a really big deal to people that didn't know any better earlier. So that's that makes it sound good.
I will throw out one thing to say a 10-year commitment. I'm going to, and this is me completely assuming. From
what they say about assuming.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
but you need to do it to me right now.
No, it's they may, to say 10 years, they may actually throw a number out there, because 10 years could be we're going to do one game at the beginning and one game at the end. But I don't think it's that. I think they're probably working with Nintendo to say we're going to deliver 5 games over 10 years, or we're committed to deliver, not specific games. Right, because development goes up and down, but they might say we're going to deliver this many games through those 10 years.
And then all of a sudden, Microsoft or Minecraft counts as one of them. So yippee, we got one out of the way.
There you go, you got it. Done. But no, it's with Nintendo. It's with NVIDIA. And
that was the other big one, was bringing it to. This was actually the GeForce Now was an interesting one because. It's a competing game streaming platform. They
were one of the ones initially putting up they were throwing hands to Microsoft, right?
Right. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of odd. I mean, but again, I guess somebody at NVIDIA decided that it made sense from a business standpoint. It's like whatever, they cut into it, but it'll still bring more people on. We onboard more people, they'll buy more stuff on GeForce Now. I don't know. That's they get paid a lot more than me to make those choices. So,
yep. So that is that's that bit of news. There was a couple other things I wanted to get a hold of. There is a PlayStation State of Play happening this week and tomorrow. I bring it up because. Today is a launch of the PlayStation VR 2, which is...
It sure is.
11 years to the day of the launch of the PlayStation Vita. That was also February 22nd. It was really funny. Really successful.
Both systems will have about as many games ever launched to it, and it'll be about as successful. Maybe less so.
The Vita, it'll be as successful, yes. The Vita actually had a lot of cool indies on there, and I think they're still...
Oh, the Vita was great.
Indies. Yeah.
I love the Vita.
Pop it in. Now, I'm sort of interested vaguely in the PSVR 2. If you could plug it into a PC,
I will say, I heard people saying some really good things about Gran Turismo VR experience.
The first was a GT Sport in VR was trash. Do you remember that? Oh my god, that was nausea. But yeah, I mean, I'd be looking. I mean, I'm more interested in it now than I was before. But again, I still have all these freaking VR games that I want to play or that I already own, and none of them will work on this thing, which is a total bummer. And I don't want to.
So it's one of truly the most bizarre, bizarre things that I've ever experienced. Like they could have sold so much hardware. I don't understand how you couldn't have tried to do some of them as backwards compatible. I don't understand. It's so weird.
It's so weird. Hey, Playland, how's it going?
They messed up a next gen upgrade system.
That's true. That's true. They botched the entirety of it. You're right.
They really did.
They said, "Hey, what is Xbox doing? Okay, let's do that." So Sony for the past 5 years haven't been making the best business decisions. So
you're right.
Correct.
You're right.
Jim Ryan. But they did say they're going to spend. I think they said there's 45 minutes, 16 different titles, 5 of which are brand new PSVR2, PlayStation VR2, right? It's called the VR2. Yeah, they're going to have 5 new games they're going to be doing at some point this year. They're going to spend 15 minutes on Suicide Squad.
Man, that's a lot of time spent on that one game, man.
There's a lot of time to spend on the Avengers game that's not the Avengers game.
Yep. I mean, we'll see with Rocksteady's pedigree. I don't know. But there's
all right.
There's 30 minutes on stuff that's not Justice League when you think about it. So that's actually not bad. 15 games, 30 minutes. Each game gets 2 minutes each. So, I was telling the guys in the pre-show, or telling Zach in the pre-show, I think we'll get Final Fantasy 16 here.
I don't think so.
Your cameras disappeared.
So.
That's okay.
I did that on purpose. I'm fucking.
All right, thank goodness.
I see. The last state of play, we got a pretty big 5-minute long trailer. For Final Fantasy 16. So the only thing they need to show, which they don't even need to show, is a gameplay showcase, I guess. But it doesn't need to happen. I think it will be radio silent until the month or 2 prior, and they'll be like, "Hey, here's this." I don't think we'll see any new trailers. If we do see a trailer, it'll be showing off the difference between the graphics or whatever. I don't know, something stupid. Yeah. But it's not going to be.
I'm just thinking about the fact that they're going to go through 20 games in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it's going to be fucking
15
Nintendo
games.
Does it?
No, but 15 games, or is it 15 games? 5 of which are VR?
Or VR, yes.
Oh, okay. So it's 2. So they're just slotting 2 minutes a game.
Yeah.
On average,
Nintendo does that, and they do good. So
yeah, no, but this ain't Nintendo.
I like Tom's reply, by the way, in our Discord.
I wish I could live his life, but
so the joke, by the way, completely off topic. I'm gonna stop sharing this for a second. Completely off topic in our Discord. A good old side questing adjacent friend, Tom Johnson, was asking us. He's like, "Oh man, I feel like I've missed out on all the gaming." His exact words were,
"Are people still playing video games?"
He said, "He goes, it's 2023. What video games are cool these days?" JJ says none. He says, "All right, that sounds right. I'll check back in Q4." And then we started talking about Dead Space, and I brought up, you missed all the hot games releasing just the last couple months: Dead Space, Metroid Prime, Persona 4, Persona 3, Colossal Cave, Age of Empires 2, Tales of Symphonia, Kirby Return to Dreamland. All the old games are back.
All the classics.
And then Resident Evil 4 is gonna be back soon, and it's a weird topic actually. It's a whole lot of remakes right now, and up-res games.
You're gonna be able to play Last of Us in a couple of weeks on PC.
That's true. Yeah. Good Lord.
I'm watching this show. Why would I need to watch it again?
I'm gonna be watching it. I've been watching it. I'll get into that a little bit later. But we're in remake and reissue central right now. But other news, speaking of somebody who's remaking a lot of shit lately, I'm going to share this because this is actually a fun one. When this news popped up the other day, we're going to PAX East, right?
Yeah.
Last I checked.
4 of us on here, plus Sam, maybe a couple other folks, hopefully hopping in there. Nintendo has announced they're going to have a booth at PAX East. By the way, there's a party. Let's go join the party. Gotta represent. Now, what makes this kind of, because it appeared in the exhibitor list, the PAX, here you go, bam. I'm going to click the button here. There's the exhibitor listing, Nintendo of America, booth 1305. Oh, you can't even see it. Oh, well. It's booth 13055. What makes it interesting to me is Nintendo hasn't been to PAX East in a while. They did go to PAX West last year and had Splatoon 3 as kind of their big game, right, JJ? Because you perused their area over there.
Yeah.
They probably had a bunch of like indies and stuff there too, perchance. But this year they have a bunch of stuff coming out in the next few months, right? They have Tears of the Kingdom. I made that joke like, hey, it's gonna be Tears of the Kingdom. I actually don't think it's gonna be Tears of the Kingdom.
No, it's gonna be Advanced Wars.
It's gonna be Advanced Wars.
And I mean, look, at PAX West, it was Splatoon 3, and that was it.
That's big.
It was only Splatoon 3, and it was out in 2 days. So
right. This will be Advanced Wars, and it'll be, I believe, I mean, obviously some of the indie games that they've been talking about. I'm going to say the Mario movie. They're going to be showcasing some stuff from the Mario movie on there. There's the rumors of a new Switch model with like Mario Odyssey packed in and some other stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mario Odyssey is on the show floor playable or something. But I'm telling folks, don't get your hopes up too high. But again, they may throw out a Zelda statue, a Link statue, because that statue is floating around with Link in his arm, whatever. So that's been a few places. So I could see that.
It would be really cool if they were trying to do some physical sales, but that does not sound like Nintendo's jam. So
there's no physical sales there. But again,
one year Nintendo brought a Pokemon Center to PAX where you could buy a bunch of exclusive Pokemon gear. But
the Pokemon company is going to be there as well, and they are going to have, they're going to do cards and tournaments and stuff, but I believe they are going to have sales. So
it's the exact same thing. If it's going to be the exact same thing that they did at West, I'm positive. And it was just a giant booth to where you can like build a deck and play with other people and buy Pokemon cards and stuff. Cool. It wasn't anything. It was cool. It was, but there was no Pokemon video game anything, and there wasn't much to buy outside of cards that were sort of readily available anyways. So
but it's good to see them back here, and I bring it up because they're supposedly not going to be at E3. Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see. That hasn't been announced yet. I know Ubisoft did say they were going to be going to E3. That news broke.
Ubisoft,
which is interesting. Because
all one game that they have, cool.
It's one game 15 different times, right? They have like 7 different Assassin's Creed games. But I think we're in a really weird time for conventions and expos right now, as we've all said. People want to do their own thing, but also want to get back in. They do want to get back in front of the public, and I think Nintendo especially needs to get out in front and sell stuff because.
Why?
I'll tell you why. This goes into other news that I have. Is it showing up here? No, it doesn't show up there. I'm sorry. So Nintendo is reissuing their OLED, their limited edition Splatoon OLED and Pokemon OLED. These are the ones that were typically when Nintendo throws this stuff out, it's like if you don't get it, if you don't pre-order it, you're not getting it. They're reissuing these, and I think part of it is not because they have new hardware or anything coming out, but their sales numbers have been going down, and they need to try to get people to buy Switches. And really,
they should really release a new one then, if that's what they want.
But they're trying to get folks to purchase as many as they can of the current edition Switches, which they can kind of slide back into retail to meet their March. I mean, it's end of March is their season, so. Their year was that the yearly thing is their fiscal year, so that to them is important. They want to try to get as many of these sold, and that's why I do think that they are going to have new hardware later this year, because I've never seen them I haven't really seen them bring old consoles back like this before. So to me this leads more credence to the idea that they may post a new Switch later this year.
And a lot of their games have been going on sale. And that's a sign.
Yeah.
Nintendo never puts anything on sale. So when you see Breath of the Wild for $40 on the Nintendo shop, like, you know something.
They're trying to dry stuff.
And Mario Odyssey was the same thing. Mario Odyssey was like $38 on the eShop. They're trying to drive as much right now.
Where's Tropical Freeze at? Where's Tropical Freeze at?
$60.
I will say, by the way, we have a beautiful clockwise beard growth. Again, it's me down here. Above me is Taylor with a slightly longer, bigger beard than we got Zach and we got JJ.
It all goes clockwise, baby.
Always goes clockwise. Any other news, my dear friends, before we get into all the bajillion games we've been playing?
Evo. I guess we can talk about Evo.
They announced all the games that are coming to Evo.
Yeah. Well, that and Capcom Cup. They recently announced that the winner of Capcom Cup is going to get $1 million, which is like
this is I saw it because I think we probably saw the same general stuff, which is the fact that like you look at prize winning distribution on the FGG circuit and the total prize winnings of all of the people that have participated, and the numbers are low.
Abysmal.
Because I'm a big Dota 2 guy. I watch a lot of professional Dota 2. Obviously Valve has really big pocketbooks when it comes to this stuff because of obvious reasons. So they have highly inflated some of the video game esports earnings figures by comparison. But Sonic Fox, I think, was at the top of the list because of how many times he's placed so highly in so many different tournaments, and he was at like 750K lifetime earnings. And we're talking about top.
That's
so
the top.
There's probably some data missing because fighting game winnings has been going on for so long. But the big money's only come in the past 5-6 years in FGC anyway.
Well, not even it hasn't even been big. It's just now actually catching up.
And I guess I mean more like solidifying. It's become more regular that there are earnings to be made. At all. Otherwise, before that, the biggest money that somebody was making was by doing, what's the term for it when people like throw down money on a single match?
Money match.
Yeah, on money matches. Literally, that was like the highest earnings were coming from one-on-one money matches.
What do you call a match that you put money on? It's money on a match. I don't know, money on a match. A money match. Yeah.
Anyway, so Evo announced all these amazing games. I'm glad Marvel 3 is there. It's my favorite fighting game. So I'm glad that that's back.
Yeah, but it's in the throwback slot.
It's in the throwback slot. That's my favorite. That's the fighting game that got me into Evo like a decade ago. That's where I first started to watch, and it's just like that's what hooked me more than a decade ago now. But yeah, but they also announced that every game is going to have a minimum of like $25,000 prize pool, which is huge for these games. That
especially like imagine. I guess I'm perpetuating the stereotype here, but like imagine getting 25K from Melty Blood, which I don't want to throw shade, but like Melty Blood isn't exactly a mass appeal game like Street Fighter. it's the niche of the niche.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's gonna be a good year. I don't mean Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Playland. I mean Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
This man is 12 years old. He does not know what MVC2 is.
So yeah, it was like 2010 is the first Evo I watched, which is still a lot more than a lot of people. So,
that's true.
Kindergarten was really good.
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 also came out before the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so Rocket Raccoon has a British accent.
Nice. That's right.
So
He's
good.
in it. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, that game is that's just what got me ingrained in the community, and it legitimately changed the trajectory of my life. So I love that game. I think it's the best, and I wish Infinite was better, but
it was not good.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, no, I want to say something about the Capcom Cup. So what's really interesting to me is someone made a point of like Capcom putting all the Street Fighter skins into Fortnite is probably the reason why they have so much money to put in the Capcom Cup. So it's just a funny little observation. Anyways.
All right. Good stuff. Let's get into some of the games that we've been playing. I think that's it for news, yeah?
Yeah.
That's enough for news. It's enough for news.
More than enough.
Let's talk about some of the games we've been playing. Now, Zach has fun. He actually spelled it in Cyrillic, so that's good. There's a reason behind that. Zach and JJ have been doing review games.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't believe. Meanwhile, Taylor and I are just playing games that we find fun and are enjoying. So we're going to go first.
The halcyon days of playing games.
Imagine being us.
Imagine being us. Well, Taylor, why don't you go first? What have you been playing?
You want me to go for it? All right, hold on. This is probably gonna fail spectacularly, but I'm gonna do.
He's gonna try it.
I'm gonna try it because you know what? Why not? All right, here we go.
Don't trust this guy. He just bought this game this morning.
I played like over a dozen hours of the demo, so I think this counts. All right, hold on.
See?
Let's see. I've never tested this before. 100 hours, 160 hours.
Just kept playing the demo over and over again, which I have done on some demos. I hate to admit it. Oh, hear that?
We're listening to the live pipe in from Theatrhythm on the Nintendo Switch. We're in the
DMCA's
Fantasy 14.
takedown on
there are actually official streamer rules on the Theatrhythm
it is loud as
website.
fuck, by the way.
Oh, I can turn it down.
I can't hear.
What?
Okay.
Did that work?
Yes,
Yes.
it did.
Nice. Yeah, I've literally never. I have this 4 tuner thing for my XLR, and I've never used it.
That's a good point. I got one of those too. I've never done it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, oh my god, it actually works. Yeah, I mean, I should have probably looked up the guidelines for it before I started piping this stuff in. But this is fine. This is from Final Fantasy 14. Theatrhythm is a very good rhythm game.
Yes, it is.
Because it was originally arcade, right? No, it's always been
an arcade version. There was an arcade.
There was an arcade version,
one.
but that's not the original version.
Okay, the original was on a handheld.
Yeah.
3DS, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's 3DS, and use the stylus to do all the sweeping and tapping.
You like the flicks, flick, hold.
And the flicks and stuff. Yeah.
Oh god, that sounds terrible. I'm so glad to be playing this version.
I know that's the curtain call or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
Where it had button controls too. You could switch the button controls.
But yeah, no, it's really good. They do a lot of interesting things on it. They have this kind of, I guess I would call it like an RPG mode. I forget exactly what it's called. Yeah, I mean, where you play through this, like the quote unquote story of each game, right? And really, what it is that they put like some locales and then some enemies that are consistent with that portion of the game. And then you kind of have to progress through it. And it's not generally that hard, especially if you're just clearing it on the lowest difficulty. But if you want to clear all the quests associated with those levels, you're not going to be able. It's literally impossible to clear all of them the first time through. It just can't be done. Because you have to, all of the characters that you bring actually have levels to them, and so you're like, oh shit, I have to grind. Except that then you think about it, it's like, oh, grinding is like how you play a rhythm game, because how else are you going to get better at it? So there isn't any like this feel bad about grinding your characters, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna get better at the rhythm game that I have to play multiple times to get better at. It's just very it's an easy flow of how it works. So yeah, it's really fun. I don't think I've cleared I've cleared one song on the 3rd difficulty. It is, I find it to be very hard. Let's see what else we got another good song here. But yeah, the other nice part is that it has a really nice music mode on there. So as you unlock, but it's tied to unlocking the songs. So not the entire repertoire of the games is not available from the get-go. You have to clear those story missions, clear that story version of the game to unlock those songs, and then you can go to the music mode and listen to all this stuff. There's some other mechanics in there. There's a way to get to collect summons. You can collect some items to speed up EXP gain and that kind of thing. I'm sure that for most people that have played other theater rhythm games, it's probably like, yeah, we know with all that stuff. Well, I didn't, so sit tight.
Hold your horses.
Calm down. But yeah, it's really good. There's a huge track list for Final Fantasy 14, and that's the only thing that matters. Can you listen to the music only while watching the events without playing?
On YouTube.
No,
yeah,
but so.
I think there is a mode that's just like track mode.
Yep, I believe so.
So what do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, like there's a few different things. There's full practice mode where it will never quit you out of the song. It'll still take your inputs, but it will never fail you. Like you don't lose health, but you also don't get scored on it. So if you're just trying to like lose it, or if you're just trying to like, like what we're watching right here, if you're just trying to like figure out the flow of the song, where the button presses are, you can just do that. Or like I said, in the menu that I'm playing this from right now is just as you unlock songs, you can just listen to them. There's actually, similar to how they did it in Super Smash Brothers, there's an option to like put it to sleep, and it just basically MP3 players the Nintendo Switch. Which is pretty nice. And once I unlock more songs, I will probably make use of it.
And I think there's a pretty neat unlockable, like where you can like unlock a cards that like kind of give you a music video about like giving you the whole story of the game.
Yes, and I have not gotten one yet. Otherwise, I would have probably gone to more lengths to try and share like portions of the video of it.
So like,
Torn from the Heavens is so good.
Yeah, if you like clear like Final Fantasy V, they give you a Final Fantasy V music video. It's pretty. It's cool.
It's really neat. You get extra character unlocks when you finish a game story path, and I'm sure lots of other stuff that I haven't found out yet. So it's a lot of fun.
It's a good like It does a good job at like appreciating the history of Final Fantasy. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a bunch of DLC that's coming out for it, going into the kind of not core Final Fantasy properties that are not out yet. Was it like 360 tracks in the base game, and then 500 something if you include DLC stuff that has not come out yet, but will. And I one thing I noticed was not there was Kingdom Hearts, although there are 2 sets of DLC which have not been announced yet. I would, with how many different things are in there right now, I would be like really surprised if Kingdom Hearts is not one of them. It just seems so bizarre to me to not use Kingdom Hearts, but whatever. It's their game. The other thing I've been playing is
first of all, I can see them putting out they already did a Kingdom Hearts game, like sort of.
Yes, they did their own rhythm game,
their own take on it. But I would love to see them put out I would love to see them put out a Kingdom Hearts style, a Kingdom Hearts game in the theater rhythm style, and really kind of dive into the Disney side of things.
That'd be good.
That would be really cool. And then I would love if if it came out, if the Dragon Quest version, which was out on 3DS and never came to the US, but man, I would freaking love that, because that
tale as old as time.
Yep.
Let's make it.
Well, then ask how much did you spend on this, Zach?
What, on the game?
Because you're all that DLC, baby.
Yeah, I spent the $100.
Oh yeah,
on it, so I bought the $100.
I'm gonna be honest, I did too. And so here's the cost breakdown. It's $50 for the core game. There are 27 tracks which are exclusive to the Digital Deluxe or the Digital Deluxe Premium, which is the $100 one. The Deluxe version gives you the 27 exclusive, and then Season Pass 1, which is 30 songs, right?
Yeah.
Five packs, 30 songs, something like that.
Yeah.
Each season, so there's 3 season passes planned. Each one's $15. So if you were going to say, okay, whatever, I don't need this exclusive version, the exclusive 27 songs, I'm just going to buy the base game, but I really like all the DLCs. I'm going to get all the DLCs. That's $95. So the other option is to spend $5 extra and get also the 27 exclusive tracks. I played enough of the demo to know that I was going to want to play this video game and also have a lot of Final Fantasy music all in one place. And so that's what I went for. This is
oh man,
it's messed up, man. It's kind of messed up. I'm just saying. How many times are they going to do this and not bring it to the US? It's so
even
fucked.
Dragon Quest X, which I understand it's definitely not as big, obviously, but
bizarre choices, man.
That you still would have had a pretty good fan following in there. It just looks great.
I love that look.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh,
it is and there was this part, dude. You could actually walk around the overworld in a way with. It's so good. Theater Rhythm games are great. It's Square Enix hit a home run with these suckers, and I'm glad you're finally getting into it, because I've loved this series and I've loved the designs of these. And
yeah, I have played one of the arcade versions of it, which which is funny to have never. I didn't play any of the other games, but the one in arcade I have. But anyway, so other than Theater Rhythm, I played a bunch more Returnal. Nice. Made it to the second biome of that video game. But to be honest, it's the only time I've really had to play games is at night, and it kind of gives me the spooks a little bit.
Ooh,
and I don't like playing. I like it also, but it's also because it's really fast paced. It gets blood pumping a lot, and I really don't like doing that at my game time starts at 9 p.m. and the last I can't pump
and I want to get to sleep.
Yeah, it's like and I want to go to sleep, so I really can't just pump my adrenaline up at past 9 o'clock. So it's been tough to fit in a lot of time for it. But it is very good. There are definitely better roguelikes, I think. Sure. But this is it's a very interesting game. It's different than most stuff. It feels sometimes a little too big, but at the same time, I don't know, the spacing of everything is a little weird. The rooms are large. Sometimes it can take a while to traverse stuff. They do combat that with some teleporting and stuff like that, but I don't know, the scale of things sometimes feels a little strange. But I also haven't, I've probably about 4 to 6 hours in that total so far. But yeah, I'll keep coming back to that. That's good.
Excellent. All right, what I've been playing is two things. I never finished Last of Us originally, so I'm chipping away at that because I want to get that done before the series is over. And they throw the freaking loop where the first game's DLC is the first game or second game. One of the DLCs. That's the next episode. Sorry, spoiler, but that's what they're focusing on, which I haven't played that either. So I'm a little bummed. and I definitely won't be able to get to that. But that gives me another extra buffer week to try and catch up. There's 4 episodes left, counting this weekend. So
you better beat it.
Oh yeah,
I'm spending a ton of time. I've already told myself it's like I'm knocking out.
Where are you in the video game?
I'm not gonna say because the way I play video games, you guys know me. The way I play a 25-hour JRPG is 180 hours for me. So I'm not gonna bother getting into that. I'm like walking
because he knows we're gonna make fun of him, so he's not gonna do it.
Come on, where are you? I don't know how long you play the game.
I'm gonna talk about the next game, which I've been playing.
Where are you?
A cinematic. I never played I never watched Citizen Kane, right? But now, apparently,
what is this segue?
Citizen Kane is.
I know where
HD
it is
now, and here it is. Citizen Kane is in HD. Metroid Prime remastered. Yeah, holy shit! They made
this segue sucks.
It's the Citizen Kane. It's the Citizen Kane of video games, right? That was the funny story. Anyways, God, this game is so fucking good. Getting back in
Isn't it great to play it like a normal ass game?
I will say I am interested in it because I bought the trilogy on the Wii Shop within the Wii U.
Yes,
because I never owned I actually never owned a Wii, and I played it for like 40 minutes and was like, I never went back.
There are 4 different control methods within this game. There's modern, which is you're playing it like any other FPS out
and a twin stick.
With the twin stick stuff. Then there's motion, like Wii style motion pointer.
Like, and then you have to use the Joy-Cons for that.
Joy-Cons, yep. Then they have a hybrid, which is essentially in between. You use the sticks, but then you're also using motion controls to kind of do adjustment stuff. So Splatoon did that. It's fantastic if you're playing a multiplayer game. It's if you're doing a single player game. So I wouldn't recommend it. And then they have the classic controls, which is the GameCube controls, which again I wouldn't recommend because you're basically moving like a tank. But this
so bad.
This is obviously the best controls. It's so freaking good. Visually, the stuff they did. So this is going to be the Metroid Prime 4 engine. I think they decided. My thoughts are they were probably just going to push these 3 games out, and they said, let's fucking redo the original Metroid Prime game in the new engine and try to get it up and running and get affiliated with it and understanding of the engine, how we can do. And it works. It works so well. It's beautiful. This game and Mario Kart 8, which are 2 old-ass games, are the 2 best-looking games on the Switch. And it's totally fine to say that because they look beautiful and it plays great. I am.
So what do you think? Are they going to take sales numbers here and make decisions on the direction of 2 and 3?
No, 2 and 3. They're just going to port those over. I think 2 and 3 will get modern controls, but they won't get like a full remaster like this.
They might get some polygon counts up and stuff like that.
They'll do like what they did with the Mario 3D All Stars, which was very minimal work to improve the controls and just kind of clean it up for HD, as opposed to just the SD version that was out on the Wii. But that'll be fine. I think those aren't as important. This original Metroid Prime was important to get up there. So it's great. It's phenomenal.
Just going around scanning everything. Just scan.
I have scanned everything. The initial portion, which is you're on the ship and you're investigating why all the space pirates died and all that kind of stuff. You get on the ship and it's literally the whole thing is maybe 10 minutes. You can speed run through that in like it's only the first Metroid. No, it's definitely not all 3. No, those will come later. But you can speed run through that first area if you don't bother scanning anything. You can speed run through that whole first area in like 4 minutes. I've spent 35 minutes in that area because I tried to scan every fucking thing in there. Again, you know me, I get lost in the details of this shit. and it was perfect. It was fantastic. I love the game. God damn it, they got me in with again, another shadow drop of another fantastic game, which pisses me off because here's what is even worse off for me. They shadow drop this game, Hi-Fi Rush style, but I like physical cards because I know what happens now with digital shit. We're losing access to a lot of older digital games all over the place. I had to get a physical version, which meant I waited a whole freaking week after everybody else who was playing this, and it gave me the worst FOMO of a gamer that all you guys are playing this, and I could have played it digitally, but I wanted a physical version.
Have you been to eBay to see what's going on with this game?
No,
it's being scalped. It's being scalped to hell right now.
Yeah, there's 110 plus bucks.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is absolutely bonk. It wasn't, because I picked it up from Best Buy today, and when I asked them about it, I'm like, yeah, do you guys have any physical copies? The guy's like, no. I'm like, all right. And when he went to reach back and get my copy, he slid the wall open, of the sliding door open, and there's a wall of Metroid Prime HDs with all the sticker, everybody's name on there. I'm like, holy shit. He goes, I've never seen it like this. The guy was telling me, he's like, I've never seen it like this before with the game pre-order. He's like, this is absolutely insane. I'm like, really? So yeah, it's everyone loves this game, and I think it's good for
It's
Metroid
amazing
Prime
how
4.
like Metroid is their American game.
yeah, it really is. It really is, and I have no idea how this is gonna do in Japan. I don't even think it'll be. I don't think it'll pass Pokemon for the first week sales wise. I don't think so. But yeah, Metroid Prime, loving it, loving it, and I'll be my beat a game a month thing is in jeopardy because Metroid Prime and Octopath Traveler launches on Friday. And God, what a freaking these last 2 months, especially this month, is nuts.
It's not our fault you didn't beat The Last of Us a decade ago when it came out.
Right? So, you didn't beat it the first time it came out. You didn't beat it the second time it came out.
Or the third time.
Or the third time.
Or the fourth time. But now I'm going to beat it. Zach.
I think it should be me because I think Zach's gonna go deep in the weeds on what he's been playing, and my 3 games are a little more simple and straight.
Go ahead.
My 3 games. First up, I will talk about Ninja Jajamaru-kun. Great thing to hear me say out loud. It is a.
I'm loading up the trailer for this, my friend. Keep going.
Yeah, so it's got a weird release because it's a new game, a compilation of old platformers, and a compilation of some RPGs, and they're all independent from one another, but they came out at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think there's a bundle that has the retro games and the new game. And then there's a separate one with the RPG. It's interesting. That's what this
I'm looking for this, by the way. This is insane to try to get this. Keep talking.
So the new one is, oh boy, it's got a name. Ninja Jajamaru-kun.
The Great Yokai Battle.
Great Yokai Battle Plus. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You want to see what we're talking about? I'm going to play it. All right, get ready. Here, I found the video.
Oh, yeah, it's Ninja Jajamaru, The Great Yokai Battle plus Hell.
What?
It is a game that was apparently very popular in Japan by Jalico. And it's kind of like the original Mario Brothers, the not Super Mario Brothers, but Mario Brothers, mixed with Ice Climber.
Wow.
And it's actually like super fun. I've never played this game before. I never heard about this game before. Before they sent me the emails saying, "Do you want to try this game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." There's not much to say about the game itself other than like it's a very simple action platformer arcade game, I guess.
Looks like Mega Man.
I was gonna say Operation, whatever that one was from. That looked good.
Yeah.
The one that looked like Mega Man. I don't know. That looked all right.
Yeah. So like this one right here, this Great Yokai Battle game is the one they want you to sort of focus on because it's the new one. They made this one.
Oh,
Doesn't look new to me.
It's not a remake, and it's got a lot of like crazy like unlockables.
Okay. So they went like hardcore retro look with this guy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's definitely like doing stuff that you wouldn't get out of an old NES or something, but it's definitely going with that style. And it's a fun little game with lots of unlockables, lots of characters to unlock and play as, and like
multiplayer.
Yeah, go figure that the arcade game is multiplayer. But
Taylor,
like,
what are you eating, dude?
Yeah.
Shut up.
And then you got the original Maru-kun. Okay.
Yeah, and then you got a retro collection of I think like 8 games.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games.
6 games.
No. 5 games?
5 games.
5 games. 5 games. Okay. All of them with the there's 3 NES games, a Game Boy game, and a SNES game on this collection. Ninja Jaja Maru-kun or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it, man. It's it's not like they say it.
Yeah.
Is basically just the dumbed down version of what the new game is.
Sure.
Big Adventure is more of an action game, which would be the 1986 game you see right here.
Yeah.
That one was actually way more fun than the original main game because it's like a nice little. There's 1990. That's so the Game Boy game. They did something cool where you can play the original Game Boy game, but they also colorized it. So there's
that's
like a
Milky
DX.
Way. Is that what this one is?
Yeah, Operation Milky Way. That one's the NES. That's an NES game.
Oh, is it? So it was the Great World Adventure is the Game Boy.
The Great World Adventure is a Game Boy game.
Interesting.
But it has the original one and a DX version where they colored it specifically for this collection. It didn't have a DX version prior to this collection. So they colored it just for this collection. And
this is the Mega Man looking one, Operation Milky Way.
Operation Milky Way is the Mega Man one. It's definitely the best one of the collection by a significant amount. Because it is a Mega Man game. And this game is the Super Nintendo game, and it's not good.
What's interesting is that looks really good for an NES game.
The Operation Milky Way?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it just like, if we're just talking about NES game visual fidelity and like, I don't know, it looks really good.
It's
looks
91,
like a modern
so
indie game.
Yeah,
and it's the tail
91,
end of the
so
NES.
We're looking at like later in the NES life cycle at this point.
Yeah, 91.
Way later.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, none of these came out in America.
Oh, okay.
So these are all brand new to America, localized. You know, they haven't had English. One of them was released. I think the original game was released in Europe, and it was released as a sequel to an unrelated game.
Okay.
It's called like Ninja 2 in Europe. But the only thing missing from the collection is there was like a PlayStation and Saturn game that was made, but they didn't put that in this collection. I wonder why. And then the next collection was an RPG collection, and I'm going to be honest with you, didn't touch them. They didn't even want me to. They wanted me to just talk about the Great Yokai Battle, which of everything in the set, the Great Yokai Battle is probably the least interesting of them because it's just sort of like a modern take on the original game. Which is fine. I think it plays really well, and it's a great little action arcade game. But the retro collection, I think, is more interesting because they've not been released in America before, and these are apparently super popular in Japan, or at least were. But they just didn't exist outside of the NES era. Like there was a Super Nintendo game, but it's just so far removed from what the franchise was at the
Sure.
You could see it's like Kirby, where each one of these games is like its own different thing.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just more of a mascot for Jalico. So yeah, I really thought this was, as a person that likes retro games, obviously, and sort of like right?
In this economy?
In this person that likes retro games and a person that likes the sort of preservation of old games and stuff. It's not a fancy set by any stretch of the imagination. The retro collection is bare bones. There's no special features. It's just a menu with some games. The special feature is the fact that they went back and colorized the Game Boy game, which is above and beyond what you would expect from them. I've been pretty critical about these in collections in the past because they're incredibly expensive and they're incredibly bare bones. And this isn't much different, but I think because these are all new to us, it's a different situation. These are this will be first time experience to people who aren't inherently online. Like if maybe you downloaded some ROMs or something at some point, but like for the most part, by and large,
not me.
No, I didn't know about this game's any of these until this came into my inbox.
I had heard of them, but never beyond hearing the names. Yeah.
So it was nice to sort of see something new and something classic and something that was well made. They're all well made. So yeah, the needless, again, I think the major problem I have with a lot of these are they're kind of needlessly expensive. I mean, like every time they do these, it's like, here's the Space Invaders collection that they put out, that Invincible collection that was like $50 and you just got a bunch of Space Invaders games or whatever. And it's kind of the same way. Like it's like $30 per set or like you'd have to look it up because I can't. I got a Switch code for these. But in also runs strictly limited games. That's sort of the deal.
Oh,
with
I didn't
them.
know they ran. Okay, they ran that.
Yeah, it's the same company. That's why they're priced this way, because they're also selling physical editions, but they don't change the prices for them. So this is available on the Switch and the PlayStation 4. You could go to Strictly Limited and get physical versions of them now. They're available now on the eShop and the PS4 store. But I know they wanted me to talk more about the Great Yokai Battle Plus as compared to everything else. That was the focus. Okay. But unfortunately, I just don't think it's the more interesting of the set. I think it's a fun game. It's well worth checking out if you look at the footage of it and see it. Like because there's not much to talk about gameplay wise. It is Ice Climber / Mario Brothers. It is the same thing. You have enemies that come onto the screen, and then you're jumping up and you need to like flip them over basically to like knock them off the screen, or jump underneath them at the blocks and to get rid of them and stuff. I mean, it plays like Mario Brothers, just with a ninja slant. So I think in terms of like a high score-a-thon kind of thing, classic multiplayer in particular, like this is a really good multiplayer game because it has that sort of thing that the original Mario Brothers had, where you're trying to beat the other person to the points. You're all going for the same goal. So and it's not like you've got two separate screens. It's you're sharing the same screen going after the same enemies. So overall fun package, but it's hard to recommend it to anyone other than sort of hardcore like 80s game fans, honestly. So yeah. Sure. All right. The next one is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Again, this is another one of those weird ones, but I'm pretty sure it's just Aka-R.
Aka-R.
Aka-R. I don't know if anyone knows the history of Aka-R.
No.
So Aka R, it's sort of a portmanteau a little bit. It's a play on words, also known as another Ralston Halley production because it was
okay.
It never came out. It was a prototype Atari arcade game. It was probably going to come out under the title The Sentinel or like Operation Tango or something weird like that. And it went unreleased for years, and was never. At one point, they found. I'm trying to think. 3 or 4 existing prototype cabinets existed in private collections, but they all refused to dump the ROM, so the game just kind of went.
There it is, the arcade cabinet that never was.
Yeah, so it just sort of disappeared. It's kind of one of those games that, like, Polybius was kind of inspired by, because it's one of those games that... And Jeff Minter made a game called Polybius.
Okay.
I've always pronounced it Polybus.
But so the game went missing. The game just kind of was non-existent. It was in a few things. There's controversy around it because all of a sudden the game got uploaded to the internet, and nobody knows how. One of the people that owns a cabinet thinks a repairman stole it, dumped the ROM while working on the game.
Okay.
Which seems unlikely because that's not an easy thing to do, especially without damaging the arcade instrument itself.
Sure.
But yeah, so there's a whole big controversy around the existence of this game's leak. But last year, Atari themselves officially released Aka R in the 50th anniversary collection.
Oh, that's right. It was in that collection.
It was in that collection, so you can play the actual Aka R in the Atari 50th anniversary collection, and it's the first time it's been officially available. So, with that in mind, enter Minter, who everyone knows from Tempest 2000. What was the Vita one? TKX?
Yes.
Because that was the one that was like removed from the Vita for like, they were like, this is too close to Tempest and you don't own it. And some other Polybius and stuff. So this is a Jeff Minter as hell video game. And it plays relatively similar to Aka R, just not exactly the same. So I need you to rewind just a little bit to when it first kind of shows gameplay.
I'll get to right here. Yeah, I'll just start this sucker off.
I'll tell you when to pause. Because it is impossible to describe how this game plays. In any sort of, it's incredibly a favorite word of our show, esoteric.
Esoteric.
How? This is this is an insane arcade experience that okay, stop. So the gameplay, the shape that that sentinel in the middle, that's you.
Okay.
That is the character you play as. You can only turn. You can't move around this space. You'll see you have a crosshair. You'll see it in the middle of that red circle there.
Yeah.
The goal of this game is to defend your base that's underneath you.
Yeah.
You can't see it now, but when you start getting attacked, it's a 2-plane game. There's a second plane underneath where you shrink down and can actually move around and fire like it's an asteroids game. But you don't want to get to that part. You don't want to. It's like if you have to play that part of the game, you've screwed up, kind of thing. The goal is to it's kind of like missile command. Enemies will come in from all sides. You can see it there too. And you are firing bombs. And when a bomb goes off, it will destroy an enemy. And when the enemy gets destroyed, it will make that enemy, it'll blow up and it'll make the explosion will go out. And if another enemy gets in the range of that explosion, it'll blow up. And it's just like missile command.
If you want to blow up a missile, it does.
And so the ideal way to play this game is to fire as few bombs as possible. If you play really, really well, you can fire one bomb and it can just kind of chain react. And you see there you drop down there.
Yes, you drop down. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the little crosshairs, right? That's the little crosshairs.
Yes, those are your crosshairs. And so and when the longer your chain goes, the higher your multiplier goes. And there is a maximum that the multiplier can get to, but that's the basics of it. You can save your chain by holding down the fire button, which shoots bullets that can just destroy one, but you don't get the explosion effect. And you
so that was that explosion effect, right? That we just saw there. Okay.
Yes. There you go. And different stages have different explosion effects too.
There's insanity in this. This is absolutely the visual style is bonkers.
The visual style is Jeff Minter as hell.
Bad.
It's not. I sat there and you just kind of get lost in it because it's like it's hypnotizing you with its aesthetic, which I think it probably is because it's Jeff Minter and that's kind of just what he does. It's all aesthetic for the most part. Like Tempest 2000 is still one of my favorite like games. I love Tempest 2000. Tempest is one of my top classic arcade games of all time.
Good, yeah.
So those little crescents are your bullets, by the way. You have a limited amount of those that you gain. And you see the little blue guy that looks like a virus. That's one of the enemies that comes towards you. There are some enemies that can only be defeated with bullets, and like when you shoot them, they'll explode and it'll start the chain reaction again. But the goal of the game, it looks chaotic by watching it and sort of explaining it, but once you kind of get into it, it's actually pretty chill.
Yeah.
This trailer is really moving like it's supposed to be like a techno
hype trailer,
thing,
man. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really play that way. It's actually pretty chill when you're sitting there and actually playing it because again, the goal is to fire as few bombs as possible while creating the biggest chain you can. And it does have lots of accessibility modes. It's got different because because it is so aggressive with some of its techno shit, you can sort of turn off the flashing effects and some of the lighting effects and stuff too to sort of.
I love the visual style of this. It looks so cool.
It's so cool. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Like when you first start playing it, it's nonsense. It's impossible to comprehend what they're asking you to do without like going through a tutorial or reading it or something. But once you sort of understand the game and like what the point is, you're like, oh, I was just spamming the bomb button because that's an option you could do, but your score is going to be garbage. And as an arcade game, you don't want to. And if you're doing it that way, you're also going to have to defend your base below you and everything. Sure. And that takes away from some of the stuff. But it's so like refreshing in a way because it's barely a video game at times.
That's awesome. Here it's barely a video game. I like that.
But I think it's probably Minter's most interesting game in a very, very long time.
I'm gonna show you what the original like.
Show the original Aka-R. You'll see that it's similar. It's not exactly the same, but you'll see the similarities. You could see where he was inspired by the original game. It actually makes less sense than the modern version of it. And you can quote the game never went into production because people that tested it said it was too hard. And as you can tell by just looking at this, that is 100% true. It is a very, very difficult game, and it's pure chaos. It's nowhere near as chill as this modern Aka-R. So. Highly recommend this game. Honestly, awesome. I think it's a really neat, unique arcade experience. It feels familiar while being so completely different. from anything else I've sort of played. So yeah, love it. I love this game.
Cool. What's the last game?
The last game, little game that we've talked about before.
Half-Life 3.
Neon. Yeah, Dust and Neon. I played it at PAX West, loved it, gave it one of the Staff Choice Awards. And by Staff Choice at PAX West, it's JJ Choice Award.
It's JJ's Choice.
Yeah.
I'll get the video.
It was at PAX West. It was one of my favorite games that I saw at the show. When you play something like that in such a small chunk, you do have to wonder how good it will play as an overall gaming experience. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, it can hold your attention for the length of an actual video game, not just these little bite-sized chunks. It suffers in some aspects where there's enough of a story there that kind of leaves you disappointed that it didn't lean into it more. It's basically a mad scientist resurrects a dead cowboy and turns him into a robot to fight.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, to like.
Still remember what happened to me.
Yeah, and so you're destroying robot civilization because he seems to be all pissed off that humanity has sort of been wiped out by robots. So. Because there's no humans in this game outside of this crazy mad scientist man. So it's a roguelike. It's an isometric twin stick shooter roguelike. It's it's what if they made a good Borderlands game. It has this sort of like almost aesthetic to Borderlands, where it's this like this neon Western aesthetic with comedy. But the gameplay cycle is incredibly satisfying. Because you have three weapons. You have your revolver, you have your shotgun, you have your rifle. And as you're playing through the levels, you start off with the bare bones. And then you can go to, there's a weapons dealer if you've got enough money where you can buy upgrades and stuff. And it's a really sort of like pick and choose thing with how you want to play the game, because every weapon has its own advantages and disadvantages to it. And it shows there's a quick compare. Like when you find a chest in a level, you can like open it and it's a new handgun and a revolver, and you can push the button and it shows your gun that you have equipped and the gun that you can pick up side by side. And there's things like critical hits, speed, number of rounds it holds, and things like that. And I think the number of rounds a gun holds can there's a fine line, because you have to reload each bullet individually.
Oh, that's interesting.
So when you run out of ammo, you can see when the gun pops up on screen, each bullet that goes into the chamber is you pushing a button.
So the reload animation is like, that's the reload animation.
That's the reload animation. It plays like an old light gun game where you have to like fire off the screen and pull the trigger to reload, except it would be like if you had to pull the trigger for each bullet as a reload. So if you have a handgun that has 9 bullets in it, sometimes in the heat of battle, having to push that button so many times to reload while you're dodging and rolling and trying. Hey, there's our logo. Can be kind of a hindrance.
Yeah.
But also, like, your default guns, like, only have, like, the shotgun only holds 1 shell and your revolver only holds 2 bullets. So, like, you're getting into a gunfight and you're constantly having to reload. So you want to get, so you're trying to find the perfect balance for how you play. And because it's a roguelike and you're gathering all kinds of like resources to upgrade yourself and money and stuff, and because it's a roguelike, when you die, you lose everything you've collected. If you haven't like spent it yet or whatever. So I haven't felt this sick to my stomach dying in a game in such a long time, because I was like on a good roll. I had a great loadout going, and you get to a point and I got overwhelmed by a stage I was in and I died and I lost all of my money. And
so there's actual weight, which I kind of like, because a lot of roguelites, you'll just go until you die and you're like, okay, dying is a part of the process, whatever, I'll just kind of do it again. But from your description, it's like you die in this game and it's a gut punch. Even though you're kind of restarting, it's still a gut punch.
Exactly. It's like the things that you've upgraded on your robot yourself are like, when you've made those upgrades, they're perpetual. They'll continue with you into the next thing. But when you find the loadout that is working perfect with you and you just lose all of your weapons with no way of getting them back, it's I actually like sat there in stunned silence and just turned the game off and walked away. Like I was like actively mad at like myself, not like, because it's at the end of the day, it's like, it's not an unfair game. It's not like a Souls game where it's like it's trying to be actively unfair to you, or even some of the other like Rogue Legacy or whatever. It's like it's a pretty easy game to play. It's not particularly hard. So when you screw up, you screwed up. You made a bad decision. You didn't reload right. You got greedy and tried to go for some other stuff. But and it has different missions, like, because you're basically a bounty hunter. So you go to like this map board and you get to choose where you want to go. And some of them have like, oh, you have to sabotage this room, or you have to destroy the resources for them, or you have to take down these targeted enemies, or you just have to, complete the level. And when you go through it, you level up. And when you reach a certain level, that's when one of the robot bosses becomes available. It's like, well, now you've gotten some notoriety, and now the robot boss is looking for you. So then you can go select the robot boss and go into a fight with the boss. And if you lose in the boss fight, you have to go and play another level before it's like, oh, the boss went on the run, so you gotta like play a level. And then after that level, you can challenge the boss again, because they want you to pick up resources and be able to be at least a little more. It behooves you to maybe play a couple of levels, to maybe grind up your levels a little bit, or find the right loadout to deal with that particular boss. Like, because certain guns have certain stats to them, or like, so now that you know how that boss works, he has a shield that spins around him, or whatever, like, oh, it benefits me to have a shotgun that's strong with a quick reload speed or something like that. So it really, there's some weight to, and there's a thought process. It's not just getting the strongest gun you can get, because sometimes you can find a stronger gun, but it's going to limit the amount of bullets you get. It's like, right now I have a 6-shooter, but this gun is twice as powerful, but it only has 2 shots or something. Like, it puts some weight into your decision. And sometimes, if depending on your skill set, it may benefit you to play that way or not, or whatever. It's just, it's a hell of a roguelike, and it's just fun to play.
What are you playing this on right now?
I'm playing it on the Switch. The Steam does have Next Fest had a demo, so I don't know if the demo is still a thing that you can get, but it plays really well on the Switch. I have a weird problem with the Switch version. I was trying to play with a normal controller, and I can play with a normal controller, but if you're playing in like any mode, even docked mode or whatever, the rumble wasn't coming through the controller, but you could still hear the Joy-Cons vibrating. So it was still reading it as desktop mode no matter what. So I'm going to hope that now that 1.0 is out, that they fix that. I haven't been back to it since its official release date, but
awesome.
But yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's perfect for handheld. I think this is one of those things where this is an ideal Steam Deck kind of game and an ideal Switch type of game. It's not asking a lot from you, and it's really nice. It's really good for short bursts because none of the levels are long. They're a couple of minutes. So yeah, this is on the short list of
nice
favorite games of the year so far. So yeah,
awesome,
love it.
Very good.
Okay,
thank you, JJ. And now we have 6 minutes left to discuss the final game of now we turn it over to Zach. I hope you guys have you have something ready to drink or just chew on. No, just kidding.
I
don't want to talk about
flavor,
this game.
Coke
Yeah.
Move.
Oh, there you go.
I'm ready to
Girl
go.
Scout cookies. Were they made?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this game, but I have to.
Okay. You review it. No.
You could have just waited for it to come out on Games Pass.
Yeah.
I
started playing this game last night, so I at least have a vague understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, okay, so as background, Atomic Heart is the game I'm going to be talking about. But Atomic Heart is a video game that I've been interested in since the first trailer dropped, like 5 years ago. It's been one I've followed, actually. Wow. So whenever the opportunity to review it came through, as I picked it up, because it's like, this is the game I've been wanting to play. What's maybe a detriment to me is I do a lot of media blackouts for games I'm interested in because I see a game, I'm like, I'm going to play this game. I don't need to see anymore. So I've been on blackout for this game since maybe E3 of last year when Xbox showed that last trailer, I think, with the grandma. And there's a huge tonal shift with the grandma that came out because the game before then was kind of seeming to be like a survival horror game in a Russian facility type of game, kind of like SCP centered kind of things. Like let's go through.
It was going to be like a Control-esque game.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so here's all these different areas of science that people have studied, and here's what has gone wrong since this thing has happened. That's what it seemed like the game was going to be. Maybe more BioShock than anything else, which is fine. But the game that we got makes sense why they didn't show as much as they should have, because a lot of the stuff that they would have shown it would have turned a lot of people off. But it's also like, it's making me rack my brain thinking, like, why would Microsoft invest so much in this game? Because they've been pushing it pretty hard. And it's like, whoever is doing the quality control at Xbox pick the games to like push and do any, like, I guess, direction for production for and things. They need to do a better job, because this game is like, it's one of those video games that you never hear. So like, if this game didn't have Microsoft behind it, it'd be a game that you wouldn't hear about for 2 or 3 years. But it's a game that has like a cult following. And it's like, oh, there's a lot of people who like this game. Let me check it out. Like, oh, it's some weird cult title. Like, whatever. It's weird. Like, that's what this game is at its heart. It's that. But it's a game like that has been given millions of dollars to have a AAA aesthetic with a even lesser, like, European stalker kind of gameplay injected into it. And my theory, before I even just get into anything else, my theory is they had their first trailer, they pitched that to a lot of people, they got a lot of money, and they're like, how do we do this? And they just kind of started to do things, and it just didn't work out, but they kept it in there.
Okay.
And they just kept adding things to it. And they're just saying, okay, well, this isn't good enough. Let's add something else. Like, oh, okay, this is cool, but let's add something else. And the game is just full of these really amazing ideas. There's so much cool stuff in the game. I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is just like really, like, this is a visually really arresting, beautiful video game with such cool design choices in the aesthetics that I'm like, I just wish they executed everything else just as good as they did the aesthetic lean of it. Because it's like the gameplay doesn't reach that point that it needs to. The story doesn't even launch off. It's a non-story. It's like a Call of Duty story, which is crazy. It's just baffling to me that they decided to do something like that. But yeah, I have a PowerPoint now.
Right.
I'm going to show you guys.
Want me to add it on there?
Yeah, add it. Okay. Here is the title, Atomic Heart. So the interesting thing about this game is they have tried so hard to say, you know, we're a studio from all over the world, okay? We're not just Russians. We don't support Russia. But like you go to their YouTube channel, they have trailers in English, and then the other trailers they have are in Russian. So it's like, okay,
it's all in Cyrillic.
Are you guys gonna, you know, just admit it at some point? And I get why they're saying that. It's a very touchy political climate that we're in. They want to make money. They're making a game. They've invested so much heart. Like you can tell there's heart that went behind this game. Like these guys care. And they don't want the political climate to affect it. And them not kind of approaching it head first is bad, but it's also like their only choice, really. But then also Xbox having press conferences in Russia saying all hail the Russian like proletariat, all these things is like, dude, like you guys need to like the marketing teams need to work together here or something. Like there's a huge disconnect here. But yeah, a lot of people are worried that the game like props up the Soviet Union or just Russia in general as this like amazing in this amazing thing that should, you know, rule the world. And it doesn't do that at all. Any political commentary they have is like, it's even less than any commentary you would get in a Call of Duty game. It's just really, it's really shallow. It's shockingly apolitical for a game about the falling of a communist nation. You know, they don't really commit to anything. And that's just kind of how the game is in general. It's just very like, I could do this, so I'm gonna do it. And like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this. And it's just like that's just what the game does. And you can tell. I mean, JJ probably knows this. The first like the game starts you on a boat during this like amazing like day of like science.
A carnival pedal boat.
Yeah, so it's like you're on a carnival pedal boat, and it's like, hey, this is the amazing day in science. Like, could be a huge day for like the 2.0 launch of this scientific thing, whatever. And you know, obviously something goes wrong. So that's like the first 45 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. This is cool, because the actual like hook is like, okay, the Russians won World War II, and they advanced science so far that they invented a serum that is allowing people to learn anything from just one injection, right? So, like, society is lifted so high above than where we are now. There's no, like, useless people, basically, in society. We're all obsessed with science and the arts. It's kind of what this game is. So, like, the aesthetics fit that. Things are so pretty. People are like so nerdy and smart, whatever. And that's why they create robots to do the labor, because everyone's above labor at this point. Everyone's like, I'm a brain surgeon. I can make, fucking cybernetic eyeballs in a second. Like, that's just kind of where we're at as a society, not we, but them. So the guy who's the leader, I think his name is Sechenov. The main character, P3, calls him Wizard for some reason. I don't know. The main character's name is P3, by the way. He doesn't have a real name, P3.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, he does.
So, he does, but it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, P3, go do this. And then his gloves, his name's Charles or Charles, because it's Charles with a dash.
Yeah.
It's dumb. Okay, so they're like launching this 2.0 thing. It's like a mega mind. They're going to connect robots and society as one. We're all going to come together. There's this mega, like, monolith, and some scientists within the group decide, you know what, no, fuck it, we're gonna turn it back. That's a really good hook for a game. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's an amazing hook for a game, because eventually it's like, hey, like, you need to go find the dude who did this, because the main character, he's this like secret soldier, super soldier meathead guy, and they're like, hey, you have to
so much,
he's the worst. So they tell you to go into the bunkers and go find this thing, and go find this guy, and you go in there, and it's creepy stuff. It's supposed to be creepy. It's like, oh, there's all these robots around. I have a wrench, basically. I'm like scared. I'm scrounging for things. In the game, you think, oh, is this what the game's going to be? Because that's really cool, because I'm seeing some messed up things. There's these like ballerina robots that you see. Well, we're gonna get to them. We have the sexy ballerina ladies who, they move kind of creepy. We have these like red ligament kind of like I don't know how to explain them, like liquid humans that are like in the game. They killed dogs and attached the dog brains to these like limbs to like make liquid and like give it form from human blood. It's a bunch of like messed up things. You see, like, it's cool, but you're going through the catacombs basically of science, of like, how far did the Russians push science? Like, how far did we go to get to where we are now? And there's some messed up things. Amazing setup. And it's like, oh man, this is gonna be some like survival horror game with like some like an action lean. It'd be so cool. And the game is not that. The game is a full-on like action game with really bad shooting and like quippy Marvel dialogue, and it's just the worst. It's like so bad.
It's like sub Marvel.
It's so bad, dude. Because like, go ahead, JJ.
I hate the strafing in this game. Why does it do that? If you're trying to walk left while moving forward, it's like you're walking through mud.
There's no run. There's no run button.
There's no
by the way, you just walk.
There's a dash.
So that's cool. There's like a dash
button. Yeah.
But it's on a cooldown, which is like, okay.
It's got like weird semi Metroidvania elements to it, which suck too.
Yeah. It has puzzles that are made for 5-year-olds. It has
I like that the locks are at least kind of like, there's like different types of locks, but they're all the same design. But all of the like things are stupid. There's the one where he's like, you're just like, it's just Simon or whatever, where it's just like he's snapping while you're
yeah. There's like one where like so there's like, you go to like pick a lock, and it's like this, and these tubes pop out and like a circle goes around, and you're like snapping your finger when the light passes by the tube. It's like, dude, this is like just unlock it. You have a little like, your glove, Charles, is a super scientist. Just let him unlock the door, bro. Like I don't know what you're doing. But there was a point in the game where I 100% believed that the devs were in on the joke. I was like, oh, okay. So this game wasn't the survival horror game I thought it was going to be. It's a schlocky B tier. Like, let's make fun of people who are like too patriotic for their country, too just like in deep for their country, or just like patriotic in general. Because like P3, the main character, he doesn't ever question anything thrown at him by a smart super scientist Soviet glove, by the way. He's just like, okay, like he just does it. And it's like, oh, okay, so this game is actually smart. I went 180 on it. I was like, okay, this game's smart. Like they know. Because there's a part where you're listening to the radio. It's actually really funny. It made me laugh. So P3 walks by a radio and he goes, "Hey Charles, what is this?" And Charles goes, "Oh, that's just music that we've made by using quantum computing to predict AI temperaments of the future, so we can have constant flow of music. So anytime you turn on the radio, it's going to be a song you've never heard." Blah blah blah. It keeps going on, all these scientific things. And then the main character P3 goes, "Charles, do you know who you're talking to?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's just music." And then P3 goes, "Oh, okay, cool." Like. I was like, this is amazing. Oh my God, like, yes. And then they just flip on it. They just like, okay, you know what now? P3 is a hard-ass military dude. He's ready to fuck stuff up. He's going to go crazy. He's the coolest guy in the room. They flip the switch constantly. It's like, I just like commit to something. Because they really want you to think he is so cool. And he says... he has a catchphrase. Oh my God. His catchphrase is crispy critters. I'm not even joking. Something happens. He goes, "Crispy critters. Oh my gosh, let's go." It's like, is this cool? Like, I don't know. And the game never, ever does anything to progress the characters, the story. You know immediately from the get-go where the story is going, what's going to happen. There's like these amazing aesthetic looking like characters, like the robot ballerina twins are aesthetically really interesting just from like a design standpoint. And, you know, like, let's make these android killers who are designed after the most fit physical specimen in Russia, and like, let's make them killer robots that can like fly in the air and turn into liquid, like all these things. That's cool. You don't learn anything about them. They're just enemies that you kill at the very end of the game. So it's like, what's the point? Like, there's nothing in between point A and point B to make you like want to do anything. And even so, like, I would say if the game stuck to its like cavern dwelling, like, let's go through these messed up Soviet experiments and see creepy things, it would be decent. It would be a decent game. Like, I think, because I legitimately enjoyed walking around doing the puzzles. The puzzles are pretty good. Like, not the puzzles that you do on like the walls or like for the doors, but like the environmental, like Half-Life-esque puzzles are actually decent. Like, they're fun. You get to explore big areas that look gorgeous.
I like the swimming goop.
The swimming goop, yeah. So there's just like clear polymer stuff that the Russian has used kind of as their like main thing. It's like very clear, and it's like can transport water, all these things, but you can jump in it because it's actually like solid, and you just kind of like swim through, and it's a really interesting thing. Like, it's cool to swim through it. It's cool to use it to like get around a boss, get around an enemy, go like scale up something. It's just like a really cool and visually striking thing. The game is visually like, I just like can't say enough. It's visually, it is so interesting. There's so much stuff. I'm like, I want to know more about this. Like, a better development team would have been able to pull off a lot of things with this toolbox. Like the team just wasn't proficient enough. Because it's just like there's just cool stuff. Like, you go to like, so there's a boss called, I can't even pronounce it. But it's that thing I was talking about before, that biometric like limbs that are like blood and like a dog head, like it's stalking you through like a whole thing, and it's just really creepy looking. And one time you find it sitting with a doll, and you're like, oh, okay, like that's creepy. And it's just never like actually commits or like lands anything, and it's just so disappointing because it has this like really concentrated, like amazing aesthetic and semi decent like flow. The guns feel okay. Haven't even talked about the robot that rapes you, but there's a robot that rapes you. She just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just happens abruptly, and then it's a constant theme throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah. Okay. So, because this game's a survival horror game at first, and you're like, oh, how do I save? Oh, a save room. Oh my god, that's so cool. I love this. Walk into a save room. You see this like fridge. You're like, oh, okay, what's this? And you talk to it, and it's a sexy woman fridge, and she just starts saying like, basically raping you. And she's there through the whole game, and they think it's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, here's the elephants in the room, and then here's my score. Hold on, I'm just gonna show this so we can show a trailer. We'll probably keep talking, but my score is an 8. It hurts a whole lot. And also, if you can tell, look, that's my face when I see these guys. I actually like these guys a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So Dolly, we can switch off. Go to a trailer. I'm gonna keep talking because
I just can't believe that you gave it an 8 out of 10.
Hey, no, 8 out of 10 hurts a whole lot.
Yeah, it's an 8 on the pain scale.
Yeah, so
I'll take it.
You're in these catacombs, right? You're like, okay, this is really cool. I hope they do something. And then eventually it gets like the story in there kind of crescendos. Look at this stuff. It's so cool. Oh my god. So it just like kind of crescendos. And you're like, okay, what's next? It's like, hey, bro, we got an open world now. You're like, what? So then you're just like walking around because you can't run. Or it's like walking around,
the
driving a car.
Designs are so good in this game. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and like even this is so cool. Like the way you get up into these like Russian areas, like these like floating islands, is you get into a car and then a robot comes and straps you to itself, and then the robot carries you. Like it's just cool. Like, oh my god. But then it's like, now you know what? But yeah, so it's like an open world, and you're like driving a car around. If you crash the car into like one thing, you blow up. And it's just like you can't kill the enemies. Okay, this is stupid. So you can't kill the enemies in the open world, right? You kill them, and then like a repair bot comes out and repairs them. And they have the survival horror enemy like damage sponge thing. So it's like, okay, so now I gotta kill these dudes, maybe, and then get their stuff and then craft some more bullets, and hopefully I can kill them. It's just like it doesn't make any sense. It's not cohesive. It feels like I was saying before, they got a bunch of money and we're like, you know what would be cool? Open world. So they add open world. There's like 3 areas that are open world that you use to go to the next places. And yeah, it's just enemies are bullet sponges, although like eventually you'll get the weapons. Well, the game doesn't give you weapons, which is kind of weird. You have to craft them. So it's like you could potentially go through the game with just one weapon if you're a dummy. Yeah. But you get this gun that like shoots electricity that shoots off the polymer off of robots, which is really cool because you can see the damage on their bodies. And then if you shoot or use your melee attack in that weakened spot, they'll just like fall apart. Super cool. But that's just the end of it. Like that's the combat. That's it. And yeah, it has so many amazing, interesting ideas and just doesn't execute. It's like they had too much inspiration. They're just like, said, let's do everything half as good as we could. It just doesn't line up for the amount of time they had to make on this game, the amount of money that they had, the backing by their government to make it.
It feels like it has a lot of you mentioned the cohesion aspect, and it's like it's a lot of bullet points, and they just keep adding more bullet points to the game, but none of it seems to fit together.
Yeah,
which is kind of disheartening because like you're saying, there's parts of it. I'm just watching the video. I haven't downloaded it yet through Gamecast, but there's parts of it that look pretty freaking awesome. It's like, wow, what's going on here? I don't know. Let's check it out. But it's almost it's weirdly like watching an art house film, but a bunch of art house films together that don't really have a lot of stuff, like sci-fi art house films together.
It's such a bummer, man.
Yeah, I do like the scavenging thing where it's just telepathic. You can just walk into a room and hold the button.
You just hold down the F button.
Okay, I'll take it. That's good.
Yeah,
your boy Charles will suck it up.
Listen, it's weird because like some people that have played open world games, like, oh, finally, that sounds like it reduces a lot of the tedium.
Sure.
Except that you're just walking around constantly holding F all the time. And it removes all the feeling of actual interaction with the environment, because it's just I'm not doing a thing anymore. I'm just I press the button and then the things come out. Like, I don't know. It should be cool, but it just falls flat.
I also absolutely love the explanation as to why you can hold infinite items in your backpack, because basically the Russian scientists designed a bag of holding. It shrinks it down to the molecular level, and you could just keep storing it in there. No big deal.
And then also there's at one point they have this thing where you can hear the voices of the dead people in the labs that you're walking through.
Yeah.
And they don't ever do anything else with that. It's just you can hear two guys' voices and that's it. It's okay.
Yeah, they don't they don't give you hints. It doesn't it's not even lore. It's just dead guy talking.
Yeah, he's like, man, I was trying to lift up this box and it fell over on me. And can you help me? It's like, you're dead. I can't. You're dead. Cool, thanks. And then it doesn't do anything else with that ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could have been I flip flopped so much with how I felt about this game, because it's a game that I think I would have enjoyed if I wasn't excited about it. If I just randomly found this game, I'd be like, oh, this game's cool. It's weird, but it's cool. But it's the fact that I was excited about it, I feel like that maybe hindered me. But I don't know if that's me trying to make excuses. I just don't think it's weird enough.
If it really leaned into some of the stuff harder, I guess. I don't know.
Because like I was saying before, with P3, the main character, it's they make him a goofball, and then he's either perma on that third option in a BioWare game where you're mean but you didn't mean to be mean. He's perma on that. And then he's just mean to everyone. And then he's also just really stupid. But then sometimes he has moments where he's just oh man, I'm tired. And Charles is why are you tired? He's I just want to walk through a door and there not be a fight. And that's funny. It's I just want more of that.
He's constantly complaining about the gameplay mechanics. There's that one point where he's I'm really sick and tired of shoving these balls into these tubes. Why the hell are you eggheads constantly doing this? Can't I just open a door, please?
Yeah, and it's the game has that stuff in there, but it never does anything with it. It's let's just go the easiest route with what we could do.
If a more competent team worked on it, this could have been Blood Dragon. But what if it was the 80s Russian propaganda, the reverse Red Dawn kind of thing or something? But it's not. It's not consistently funny. It's not.
Yeah, and then the endings of this game are literally like there's 2 of them, and they're the most non-endings ever. And one of them is a sequel bait ending, so it's like
Okay.
good luck, buddy. Like,
Atomic Hearts.
Love it.
Yeah, I've told everyone I've talked to about this game, like, if you have Game Pass, check it out. Like, it could vibe with you, like, and that's fine. Like, but I don't know.
That was my first question I was going to ask you was, does P3 ever get better? But it definitely sounds
no. He's the same. Because even towards the end, like, you're about to like meet your boss, and he's still like, sure, yes, sir. It's like, bro, like, what are you like? You just got screwed over so many times by this glove that you just haven't doubted once, and he's working for the government that just betrayed itself. Like, what are you doing, man? And he, yeah, it's whatever. All the bosses are the same. It's a wild game. I don't know. It's one of the hardest games I've had to review because it's just like, dude, like, because there's stuff in there that I like. There's stuff in there that I hate. There's stuff in there that I just am ethically opposed to. You know,
yeah, sure.
It's like I
running the gamut.
It's crazy. It's the most confusing game I think I've ever played because it does a lot well, does a lot horribly wrong, it does a lot just like it's weird. But also it's a disappointing game because it could have done a lot more and it could have been a lot better. And that's what I thought Xbox was helping them with. But we've learned in the past couple of years Xbox isn't good with that stuff. So
and the game's available on other platforms besides Xbox. So
yeah, but I'm just talking about them because they did the big push. They did the event and they did the big push.
Much,
they
did
the
all
event
of
in
the
Russia.
Advertising was 100% Xbox backed. Like,
So I figured they helped fund some of it, and I just assumed that it would help. But they also had Tencent money. They also had Russian government money. So who knows? Who knows what happens?
China and Russia backed this game? Huh.
I saw Tencent put in like 18 million. So I wonder where all that money went because it doesn't show. Yeah, I was doing some research. But yeah, this game, just as another aside, it made me do a lot of Googling because I was like, this is weird. Is there something in Russian culture that I'm not understanding with like wanting to have sex with
translation
robots?
kind of stuff? Yeah.
Is Russia just obsessed with wanting to have sex with robots? If this is what's in there, like cool. Like that's a cultural thing I don't get. But I couldn't find anything. So it's just the writer who's just like, you know what? I like robots a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. Atomic Heart.
It's a game.
It's there.
All right. Atomic Heartache. Well, hey, we're coming in on 2 hours right now. It is 11:11.
Release me.
Yeah, I'm releasing all of y'all. Hopefully, as we were all talking about games and stuff, I just kept hearing my neighbors scraping ice off of their cars. It's kind of nasty out there, so it's gonna be fun. Look at it, all of us yawnies made me yawn. You shut up a bit.
Fine.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. It's well past my bedtime.
It's 8 o'clock for you. Well, on that note, thank you for joining us tonight, gents. It's always fun. I am, as I noted in our kind of secret Discord room, it's awesome that we get to talk about games and review games, and it's awesome that people reach out to us from indies and PR from other companies and devs and just other aspects of the gaming industry. Actually looks to SideQuesting for our our valuable input, and I think that's always really cool.
Man, Atomic Heart should have got me for some valuable input before they released that game.
You can definitely get into some. I'm
gonna start a. I don't know why. That just reminded me that I need to start a campaign to get me working at the Blumhouse games.
There you go. Yeah, just announced it. So we'll let you all go. You can find us sidequesting.com, sidequesting TV on YouTube and Twitch, in the sidequesting Discord. PAX East is coming up. Definitely check out our panel there.
A month away.
A month away. It's quick. And I was gonna work on our award. I'm not telling anybody what it is. Only the folks in here know. But I've been kind of just playing around with a couple ideas I've been sketching, so I might our secret little section. I'll let you guys see some of the stuff this weekend, and then we can make the direction. Our panel's out there. It's awesome, and maybe we'll do a fun "So You're Going to PAX" stream coming up here. That'll be a lot of fun. And definitely check out our party list, which is the ultimate premier party list for PAX East. PPPP. And that's it. You can find us individually at Taylor Bliss, at OKQuest, at Dolly Domofsky, on his phone, at D_double_J.
Get them digits if you want to talk.
You may need to restart your whole home system there, JJ. But we'll see you all on the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye-bye. I wrong hand. I had to do this. There we go.